Hi everyone, welcome back to my Christopher Nolan series. Today is Monday, so we're just, a few days away from the release of The Dark Knight Rises. I wanted to, first of all, say thanks to Puckbond007 who gave me a shout out on his Best of 2010 video. I also wanted to mention theFLICKpick, who he and another guy did a whole Christopher Nolan series in like one video, which is really cool. I've done a couple of those, but I like to spread them out, so I can talk about each movie in detail. The links to both of those guys are below. So Batman Begins, of course. I've saved the Batmans for last, and this film came out in 2005. And I think you might be interested to know that the reason why this movie exists is because Brad Pitt, on occasion, can be kind of a jerk. He was going to star in The Fountain for Darren Aronofsky. He was growing this big scraggly beard. You might have seen photographs of him around 2003 or so. Everyone was going, why is Brad Pitt doing that with his beard, man? He should shave his head. He's so much cuter if he shaves his beard off, and he was going to be in The Fountain. But then, at the last minute, after sets had been built and production was about to get underway, he decided, I don't want to do The Fountain, I want to do Troy instead. So he shaves off the beard and starts working out and appears in Troy. And Troy was directed by Wolfgang Petersen, who was going to direct a movie for Warner Brothers called Batman vs. Superman. Colin Farrell was going to play Bruce Wayne. Jude Law was going to play Superman. My goodness, So apparently Superman, something to the effect of Superman, unfortunately is not able to save a woman who Bruce Wayne's in love with, so Bruce Wayne swears vengeance on Superman, and they end up fighting. But I'm sure they unite to, beat back a common foe in the end. But that movie was going to be made, and it wasn't, because Wolfgang Petersen was like, oh, well, Brad Pitt wants to do Troy, so I'll do that. Great. But the upshot of this is that since that movie wasn't made, Warner Brothers is like, well, what are we going to do with Batman now? And then Christopher Nolan goes, I got an idea. They're like, great, we'll go with you. Because he made Insomnia for them, and that one turned out well, so they, they had faith in him. And the whole concept behind Batman Begins is to really explore the origins of Batman and why Bruce Wayne became Batman in the first place. There's the, incident with his parents when he was a kid, but, there was a lot of information that has sort of been unspoken. And so Christopher Nolan and David Goyer, who's the co-screenwriter, they created a story whereby Bruce Wayne gets trained to have just ninja-like powers, basically ninja-like abilities, by this group called the League of Shadows, that's run by Liam Neeson and Ken Watanabe. And after that, he goes back to Gotham City and assembles the suit and all of his gear through various Wayne Enterprises forgotten bits of merchandise, and then starts beating people up. I have to say, this movie, on my top 20 films of all time, this movie right now sits at number 14, which means it's not just the best Batman movie I've ever seen, or one of the best, action summer blockbusters I've ever seen. It's just one of the best movies I've seen, period. And I think one of the reasons for that is because, I've been a longtime fan of Batman since I was a kid. I had a few of the comic books. I was a fan of the old TV series, the repeats they would show with Adam West, here and there. And I even had a comic book with a record to go along with it. You would play the record, and the soundtrack and the dialogue and the sound effects would go, and you would read the comic book along with it. That was kind of fun. But yeah, Batman Begins was the Batman film that I'd been waiting all my life to see and didn't even know it. I'd seen, of course, the Tim Burton movies when they came out. I'd seen the Joel Schumacher movies too when they came out. I sort of couldn't help myself. I just wanted to see Batman. And although I enjoyed the Tim Burton movies to a limited extent, when Christopher Nolan's film came along, I thought, they're going to do Batman again. I don't know about that, and then I started seeing clips, and I thought, well, it looks okay. But when I saw the film itself, I was duly impressed by what had happened here. One thing I noticed about a lot of the Batman movies is that the villains really upstage Batman quite a lot. And that wasn't the case in this one. The villains hold back a little bit. They're conservative, I guess you could say, as far as Batman villains go. And Bruce Wayne really is the character that takes center stage, which is appropriate. There's so much about this movie that I like. I've seen this movie so many times. I just watched it again last night just to kind of, bone up again for this video. Minute for minute, it's one of the most enjoyable movies I saw all last decade. A lot of that's due to the score. Hans Zimmer composed the score along with James Newton Howard. And he also co-wrote the Dark Knight score, and he went solo on the Inception and Dark Knight Rises scores. He also scored a number of really good movies like Crimson Tide and Pirates of the Caribbean and Gladiator. Guy knows what he's doing, and I think that Batman Begins is my favorite score of his. There's so many cues in that film that are just great. Just very, very pleasurable to listen to. Of course, this movie is full of talented people. They really wanted this film to be respectable, to be taken seriously, and that is reflected not only in the tone of the film and the production, but the cast. You've got Tom Wilkinson and Liam Neeson, who are both Oscar nominees. Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine were both Oscar winners by the time it came out. Morgan Freeman just won an Oscar for $1 Million Baby. And Christian Bale, of course, he's an Oscar winner now, too. A lot of people complain about Katie Holmes, of course, and I would say she doesn't make as convincing a prosecutor as Maggie Gyllenhaal in The Dark Knight, but she makes for a perfectly convincing longtime friend of Bruce Wayne, and kind of a nag, actually. Her character's a little bit humorless. I think she has only one moment of just like genuine humor in the whole movie, and that's her very first line, in which she remarks about how Alfred hasn't noticed that Christian Bale is tall enough now to reach the condensed milk on the top shelf in the kitchen. But she takes everything really, really seriously. I mean, her job is one that's put a lot of pressure on her, and she's always pushing for justice when so many people are telling her it's just not going to happen because too many people are being bought and paid for by the criminals, by the powerful gangsters and what have you. They're not going to act. They're looking out for themselves. So she can be a little bit of a bore. That's not Katie Holmes' fault. Although I have to say it was pretty funny when she walks up to a police officer in the middle of a riot and says, "I'm a Gotham City District Attorney, let me pass." I'm just like, yeah, run on home, girl. Really. Seriously, it's dangerous out here, Now, I have to say, one thing that's really cool about this movie is something, I had seen a video recently about, a couple of people were talking about their favorite Jack Nicholson movies, and they mentioned A Few Good Men, which is a movie that he's only in 3 scenes in the whole movie, but yet he's a very, very important character. They talk about him constantly. And there's another character similar to that in this film, and that, of course, is Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas Wayne, who's played by Linus Roach. And he's, again, it's like he's only in a few flashbacks, but his presence is really, really significant. One of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is where he's talking with Bruce about the fact that the bats in the cave attacked him because they were afraid of him. All creatures feel fear, even the scary ones, And yeah, they mention him quite a lot throughout the course of the movie. The people at Runway and Enterprises talk about him. Katie Holmes talks about him. Michael Caine, of course, talks about him all the time. And so, Bruce, I guess, feels like he has a lot to live up to, and he does everything that he can to justify his own existence. I think by again, he's sort of. Again, it's like, it's funny, the Scarecrow has a line where he says, "You look like someone who takes yourself too seriously," when he sees him in costume. He's just like, he's kind of like the Rachel Dawes character like that. He's gone to some pretty extreme lengths, even more extreme than she ever would, in order to see that justice is done. Another favorite scene in the movie of mine is when they're talking about Thomas Wayne during the scenes with Liam Neeson training Bruce Wayne. He says, "You're stronger than your father." And Bruce Wayne says, "Oh, you didn't know my father." And he says, "Well, I know that rage that drives you, that impossible anger strangling you, till the memory of the people that you love poisons you. And one day you catch yourself wishing that they never existed, so you'd be spared. So you'd be spared your pain." You see, a moment like that, I think about it, I don't even have to watch the movie. All I have to do is think about it, and I get a little choked up. Forget about the scene where his parents get shot. What about the scene where Alfred's trying to comfort him after the funeral? That's a really, yeah. So obviously, this movie means a lot to me, you could say there are problems with the movie, issues here and there, you know, like how does the tumbler go invisible just by turning its lights off, and what happens to the woman who introduces Bruce Wayne to somebody else at the party? She just vanishes, and how does the microwave emitter vaporize water around everybody without vaporizing the water in their own bodies, that kind of thing. You know, little problems like that, but none of the quibbles that I have with the movie are enough for me to dismiss all the many positive attributes of this film, and that's why it's my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. And yeah, it's a tough one to beat, really tough one, and I kind of doubt The Dark Knight Rises is going to turn out to be better than that. But I'm hopeful it will be at least better than The Dark Knight, the one that comes in the middle, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm not much of a fan of that one. And I'll talk a little bit about why I don't think that one is all that great of a movie, despite all the praise that it's gotten. I know a lot of you guys really love that movie a lot, but I'll talk a little bit about what my problems are with The Dark Knight in the next video I do, which will be up on Thursday, which will be the day before, of course, the new film opens. So I hope you'll tune in for that. Thanks again to everybody watching. I've got lots of comments on these videos I've been doing. Thanks very much for taking the time to do that. I appreciate it. And if any of you guys, of course, want to do a video, I've got a link in the description below for the playlist with all these, including a couple by Red Share Diaries. You know, I'll add you to the playlist if you do a video response to any of the ones that I've done. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.